Can ship captains still marry people? And how does that work legally? OP is asking if they can officiate a wedding still, and to the best of my knowledge they still can. It's still a thing. They have to be out at sea. You still need to buy a marriage license, and they will likely need to register with the state you are going to file it in as someone who is performing weddings. The rules differ by states. Not a lot of people really care who does it. 2 people, 2 witnesses, a registered person to perform it, and a license. They mostly want the money. Actual ordained Protestant minister here. Yes, they can. It's a pretty low bar actually, who a state will recognize as an official officiant. In my state in the US, Kentucky, any religious clergy is allowed to officiate a wedding and sign the marriage certificate, for instance. I didn't have to submit an application or anything, my minister credentials are sufficient. Why so easy? My theory, based on absolutely nothing, is that the state actually cares about the other witnesses who also sign the certificate. That's all that matters in a legal sense. All the stuff I say about coming together, exchanging rings, all the ceremony, it's nice, but it's just that, ceremonial. Think OP means officiate a marriage. Ship captains can't perform weddings just because they are captains. But this such a pervasive myth. There have been laws specifically saying they can't. HTTPS. It all depends. In Florida a notary can do it, and a ship captain can do it if he is a notary and within Florida waters. I think regional managers of paper companies can also officiate employees' weddings. My wedding was officiated by a ship's captain in 2006. The venue was the Clipper City out of Baltimore Harbor. I'm concerned by the number of people who didn't understand the question. I'm not sure if that was really ever much of a thing. I do remember recently seeing an antique sign from a ship that said, "Captain can perform weddings, but it is only valid until we reach our destination," or something like that. Judaist priest minister here, ordained by the Church of the Latter-day Dude, and I can officiate a ceremony except in Clark County, NV and Nick. There are a lot of ins, a lot of outs, and what have yous. They can. My cousin was married by the captain on the Queen Mary around 2005. I still think it was the coolest wedding I've ever been to. Can a ship's captain legally officiate a wedding? Speaking of US captains, generally not, but sorta yes. No law gives US ships captains any authority to officiate weddings, but there are exceptions such as if they are ordained even by male. It is generally understood that as long as it happens in international waters it is okay-ish. US courts are also unclear about this, someone upholding these marriages, sometimes not. Now that ships captains from other countries do have the authority to officiate, usually under specific circumstances. In Wilmington, NC, a port city, I once saw a sign on a legal office that read attorneys at law and in admiralty. I figure that marrying people at sea is a deep tradition in that admiralty part. My wife and I recently did our 10-year anniversary vow renewal thing on a cruise with the ship captain. It was pretty cool, and we got a piece of paper saying we get to keep being married, which is also pretty cool. It could be the Mandela effect, but I could have sworn I've seen some Star Trek episodes with Captain Picard in ceremonial regalia officiating a wedding or 2 on the Enterprise. A ship captain cannot solemnize a marriage on the basis of being the ship's captain, but they are also not excluded from acting as an officiant if they otherwise are duly qualified by the prevailing authority where they set sail from. For example, in my state anyone can pay a 25 fee to become registered as an officiant for a wedding. A ship captain can do the same thing anyone else can. If they fill out the forms, pay the fee, and otherwise comply with the state regulations, then they can marry their passengers at sea just as they could on land. Can a U.S. Navy captain marry sailors or civilians aboard a U.S. Navy ship? Can an airline captain marry people in flight? In many places, an officiant isn't even necessary. The ceremony is just a formality. I'm not sure being a ship captain affects your ability to marry other than being at sea a lot. I assume it works the same as a marriage of someone in any other profession. Sure, if the captain isn't already married,